I'm Bruce Wayne, and these are my opinions. And if you haven't gathered from my podcasts, if you have listened to my podcast, if you haven't gathered from my video casts, I don't really take myself tremendously seriously. I try not to take myself too seriously. Life is not supposed to be serious. I wanted to talk a little bit about my opinions, because I always start off my podcasts, or I started doing that when I was into my podcast for a little while, but I always start off my podcast by saying these are my opinions, because eventually, after doing several podcasts and getting people to listen to them through begging and pleading, a few people would write me saying, you realize that, those are your opinions, and I do. I realize that these are my opinions. One of the things that I would always say is the reason how I know that they're my opinions is because I'm the one talking. If I'm talking about my opinions. I may be talking from, things that I've read or things that I've heard, but in order for me to adapt them into my belief system, then, they become my opinions. I really wanted to stress that I am speaking about my opinions. Granted, I do bring up the fact that I've been in recovery for a while. I've gone to several 12-step fellowships. I've read the Tao Te Ching. I've read the Bible. Lots of good books out there. Lots of good books. And when I talk about these things, or when I talk about anything, if my lips are moving, they're my opinions. If my lips are moving, they're my opinions. They're not the opinions of Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Sex Addicts Anonymous, Okay, so I've made the rounds. That's why I enjoy going to those places, is because it allows me to reinvent myself. I don't adapt the opinions of the community, because the community doesn't have an opinion. If I'm in a community that is fostering groupthink, I have a tendency to want to leave. I think groupthink is a bad thing. It leads to things like hypocrisy, because people will only say things due to the fact that they want to fit in. But the problem is, I think people say this because they're so used to people speaking for other people, and nobody speaks for me. I don't vote. I don't vote. I don't vote because it's groupthink. I don't have enough options available to me to express, my true opinion about who I think should be in office, or what I think are the important issues. And so basically I'm given limited options to express myself, so I choose not to express myself, which is the closest thing I can do to expressing myself. And everybody, some people say, well, you have to have a voice, and I have a voice, and my voice says I don't want to play. Glad that Obama, won, because I thought that was a really great statement for our culture, because, we finally, dragged ourselves kicking and screaming out of the dark ages and decided that we were going to look at a person and not necessarily their color, their religion. Well, that would be a nice one. Let's not vote for people because who they think God is. Let's vote for them, due to the fact that they know how to run the country. So anyways, I'll talk about a lot of things. I'll talk about, I talk about Christianity. I talk about the 12 steps. I talk about, Taoism. I love Taoism. When I talk about these things, if my lips are moving, it's my opinion. Nobody else's opinion, just mine. Like right now, they're moving, that's my opinion. And when you are listening to somebody else talk, I don't care who they are, they're speaking, unless they're reading something that was written by somebody else, and then the intonation probably has something to do with their opinion of what they're reading. I mean, I could read something from somebody and, change around the intonation to show that I'm really disgusted about the fact that they said this. or I could read it in a way that would say that, God, I really agree with what this person is saying, and I think it's an amazing, concept, and I think that was an amazing idea that they had. Or I could go, that's a stupid idea, and my intonation would reflect how I feel about that whatever it is that I'm reading. So even if I'm reading something else, it's still my opinion of what I'm reading. So if I'm talking, and if somebody else is talking, just remember that that's their opinion. It doesn't have to be your opinion. My opinion, certainly, God, I hope to God my opinion is not your opinion, because I don't want that. I want diversity. And I'll go into, and I'll talk about diversity probably in another video cast, because diversity is another at least 10-minute vidcast. But for the most part, I did want to clarify, that these are my opinions, and that's my opinion on my opinion.